Alright, so I just finished the stretch on the Rubicon. I'll show you guys how I did it. The most basic part is these brackets. That's 3.5 inches from each bolt to each bolt center. The top bolt is just to keep it from rotating. Get one on each side, and then a stiffener. So you have 6 brackets, 2 here, 2 right across there, you see them on their bucks, and 2 up here, 1, 2. Those 6 brackets, if it move it all back. And then for mounting your arms, it's pretty easy. You do 3.5, so you can actually use this mount for the back mount, which used to be the front mount. So your top arm used to be here, now it's here. Bolt it right there, 8-inch long bolt, spacer. Then you got to make a stiffener for the back, right? Because otherwise it's going to be all wobbly. That's pretty easy too. You just take a piece, arch it so it goes over the diff, goes across to the other one, and then you use that bolt on the diff to tie it all together. You can see up here it sits against the frame. If you wanted to weld to your frame, you could put a little spot weld there. I'm going to put a U-bolt probably, but so yeah, that ties in there. And then for the shock mounts, you do the same thing. The shock used to mount here. You need it to be 3.5 inches back, obviously. So spacer, 6-inch bolt, shock, and then you put a brace on the back to tie it across to the other side. So the 2 shocks tie together and the 2 top A-arm mounts tie together. And then to stiffen the top, I just welded it on to the bracket right here. So it can't move side to side. It can't go up, obviously, because it hits the bracket. And that's where most of your force is going to be on that one anyways, is straight up. So on the other side, you can see there's just a big long bolt through there, a big spacer to tie that together. So basically you just pull the whole thing straight back and then you stiffen it all up. You can see there the 2 main bolts and 1 little bolt to keep it all from twisting. Yep, should work pretty good. The brakes, I see where I trimmed it down. I thought it wasn't going to clear the box, but it turned out when you moved everything back, you had to actually come down with a little bit too to make all the suspension line up right, because you move the whole bottom carrier, which means you move the bottom A-arm. The top A-arm you didn't move as much, so I had to finagle a little bit, but you have plenty of play with the angle, so just got out of level and made it all work. Parking brake can't be hooked up right now. I could make it work if I needed to, but I don't really care about the parking brake. What else is there? This is the catvos lift. It's obviously not the factory one. The only reason I'm doing this is to run the 34.5s because the catvos lift only gives you 1 inch of rake, or the rake isn't a good word, stretch. So 1 inch of stretch isn't quite enough for 34.5s. But yeah, so it's just 6 brackets, just move it back, 2 brackets to stiffen it up, couple little extra bolts. You can see where I put a bolt up here so that can't twist. And this thing being tied in down there also keeps it from twisting. I'll probably do a U-bolt around this piece too, just to make it a little stiffer. But I might ride it around and see if anything moves. That's generally how I do things. And then for the drive shaft, obviously, you need a 3.5-inch stretch drive shaft. Jason Walls is making that right now. But it came out pretty good. Here's how it looks with the 5-inch lift and the 2-inch stretch. Makes the 30 look very, very tiny. The way I did this, I actually got about another 1/2 inch out of my lift, maybe 3/4. But yeah, it looks pretty sweet. Plenty of clearance for a 34.5. And like I said, I'm not doing this for clearance. I'm doing this to transfer some weight back onto the front wheels so I can stop doing wheelies everywhere. It's kind of funny how far back the tire sits. Looks almost like a Pioneer 500 or some shit. Pretty sweet.